Why does the Bible fall silent on Adam and Eve after Seth's birth? What happened in their final moments? These questions haunt us as we consider the enigmatic end of the first humans. After Seth's arrival, the biblical narrative shifts, leaving their fate a mystery. Cast out of Eden, burdened by the curse, Adam and Eve faced a life of toil, pain, and the looming reality of death. How did they confront their mortality, and what was their final chapter? This video delves into these unanswered questions, exploring the weight of their choices and the legacy they left behind. The curse placed upon Adam and Eve was not just a physical one, it was deeply emotional and spiritual. The consequences of their disobedience in the Garden of Eden reverberated through every aspect of their lives. For Eve, the pain in childbirth was a constant reminder of the sin that had entered the world. Each birth, while a moment of joy, was also a moment of intense suffering, a direct result of the curse. She knew that the children she brought into the world were now bound by mortality, destined to experience the same pain and suffering that she and Adam faced. The joy of new life was always shadowed by the knowledge of its inevitable end. For Adam, the curse meant a lifetime of hard labor. The ground that had once yielded its bounty effortlessly now required sweat and toil to produce even the smallest harvest. Every day was a struggle against the earth, a reminder of the lost paradise of Eden. The ground was no longer his friend, but his adversary, resisting his efforts and making survival a daily battle. The physical exhaustion was matched by an emotional and spiritual weariness. Adam, who had once walked with God in the cool of the day, now faced the burden of providing for his family in a harsh and unforgiving world. The loss of that intimate relationship with God weighed heavily on him, adding to the sorrow of his labor. The emotional toll on Adam and Eve must have been immense. They were not only dealing with the practical difficulties of survival, but also with the deep, gnawing guilt of knowing that their actions had brought all this upon themselves and their descendants. They were the first to experience the weight of sin and the sorrow that it brings. They saw the impact of their choices in the lives of their children. Cain, their firstborn, became a tiller of the ground, struggling just as his father did. Abel, their second son, was a shepherd, caring for flocks that would eventually be used for sacrifices, a stark reminder of the cost of sin. The climax of their sorrow came with the murder of Abel by Cain. This tragic event was a devastating blow to Adam and Eve. They had already lost the innocence of Eden. Now, they lost a son, and in a way, they lost both sons. Cain's act of violence not only took Abel's life, but also severed Cain from the family and the presence of God. The ground that Adam struggled to till was now further cursed because of Cain's actions, and Cain himself was condemned to be a wanderer, cut off from the community. This loss must have felt like the ultimate consequence of their disobedience, a bitter fruit of the knowledge of good and evil that they had gained in the garden. As Adam aged, the weight of the years became more pronounced. According to tradition, Adam lived for 930 years, fathering 30 sons and 30 daughters. Yet, the years were not kind. His body, once strong and full of life, grew weaker with time. The vibrancy of youth faded, replaced by the aches and pains of age. The reality of death, once a foreign concept, now loomed over him, ever closer. Adam knew that his time was near, and he spent his final days imparting wisdom to his children, reflecting on the consequences of original sin and expressing hope for eventual restoration. One of the most poignant moments in the final chapter of Adam's life was his longing for God's mercy. This longing was symbolized by the oil of mercy, a substance that was believed to have the power to heal and restore. As Adam's strength waned, he expressed a deep desire to receive this oil, hoping that it might bring him relief or even extend his life. His wife Eve, along with their son Seth, embarked on a dangerous journey to seek the oil of mercy from the Garden of Eden, the place from which they had been expelled so long ago. This journey was fraught with danger, symbolizing the perilous path of seeking divine intervention in a world marred by sin. When Eve and Seth reached the entrance to the Garden of Eden, they were met by Archangel Michael, who guarded the way with a flaming sword. The archangel listened to their plea but informed them that it was not yet time for divine intervention. The oil of mercy was not to be given at that moment, for the time of redemption had not yet come. However, Archangel Michael did offer a prophecy of a future Savior who would bring ultimate redemption to humanity, restoring what had been lost in the fall. This prophecy, though it did not provide immediate relief, offered a glimmer of hope for the future, a hope that Adam and Eve could cling to in their final days. Returning home without the oil of mercy, Eve and Seth found Adam in his last moments. The disappointment was palpable, but there was also a sense of acceptance. Adam, realizing that his time had come, prepared to face death. In his final moments, he was filled with pain and longing for God's mercy, yet he also expressed a profound hope for the future, a hope rooted in the promise of redemption. His death was not just a physical departure, but a spiritual transition, a passing from this world to the next. According to tradition, Adam did not die in obscurity. His death was marked by a divine intervention that highlighted the significance of his life and the hope for humanity's future. It is said that a divine chariot of light descended from the heavens to carry Adam's soul to the Garden of Eden, the place where he had been created. This chariot of light symbolized his reunion with God and the hope for humanity's return to grace. Adam's body was buried in the Garden of Eden, the very ground from which he had been formed, symbolizing the completion of his earthly journey and the return to his Creator. Eve, who had been with Adam throughout his life, continued to live after his death. Her grief was profound, as she had lost not only her partner but also the one who shared in the burden of their fall from grace. Eve's sorrow was a reflection of the deep bond that she and Adam had shared, a bond that was forged in the trials and tribulations of their life outside Eden. Despite her grief, Eve continued to care for her children and grandchildren, passing on the wisdom and lessons that she and Adam had learned through their experiences. Eventually, Eve's time came as well. She was buried beside Adam in the Garden of Eden, symbolizing their enduring bond and shared legacy in the human story. Their burial together is a poignant reminder of the unity that they had in life and death, a unity that reflects the broader human experience of love, loss, and the hope for reunion in the afterlife. As we reflect on the legacy of Adam and Eve, we see how their lives and deaths have impacted humanity. Their story is a reminder of the fragility of life, the consequences of our choices, and the ever-present hope of redemption. The narrative of Adam and Eve is not just a tale of the first humans, but a reflection of the human condition itself, a journey from innocence to experience, from life to death, and from despair to hope. Their final moments, filled with longing for mercy and hope for the future, resonate with themes that are universal and timeless. The fear of death, the sorrow of leaving behind a world we know, and the hope for something beyond this life are feelings that every human can relate to. Adam and Eve's story, though ancient, continues to speak to us today, reminding us of the importance of faith, the power of love, and the promise of redemption. In the end, Adam and Eve's deaths were not the conclusion of their story, but the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's journey. Their lives set the stage for the unfolding drama of human history, a story that continues to this day. As we consider their final moments, we are reminded that death is not the end, but a passage to a new beginning, a theme that echoes throughout the Bible and resonates deeply in the human soul. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey. If you found this video enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insights into biblical stories and their hidden meanings.